Hey everybody, this is Robert Mathis from The Quest for Groove. Here in front of me I have the brand new Akai MPC Studio Mark II that I bought to test out its pad sensitivity and responsiveness. You might have noticed that I also brought in two other devices, its direct competitor, the Maschine Micro Mark III, and its little brother, the Akai MPD 218, just so we can do some comparisons. This is just about pad sensitivity, nothing else. If you're into that kind of freaky stuff, keep watching. The Quest for Groove. Now, the first thing to do once you've installed everything is to make sure that you open up Akai MPC software and set the pad threshold of this device to its most sensitive, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be a fair comparison. So that's what I did as well. And after I did that and left everything else alone, because that's what I recommend you to do for now, I played the device for a bit, and I have to conclude that it's very good, actually. It responds really well. If there were no other devices on the planet right now, somebody would hand me this Akai MPC Studio Mark II and tell me that this is what I had to use for finger drumming the rest of my life, I would not be sad. But the interesting question to ask is obviously, if you compare this to a Maschine Micro Mark III, or maybe even its little brother, which device would I buy then, right? Value for money wise, nitpicky wise. So that's what we're going to dive into now a little bit. Well, the short answer is if you play any of these devices and you just play a basic beat, it will just work. And even if you do something like a drum roll on two devices at the same time, you do notice that, yeah, the curve or something is not 100% identical, right? So you might have to adjust if you switch between devices, but I couldn't say that one curve or one dynamic range of one device is actually better than the other. They have a little bit of their own signature, but that's it. None of them is better than the other. I also played the device for a while, heavy-handedly, to see if I could get any of the pads to double trigger. That didn't really seem to be a problem as of now, so that's also a plus. But to be fair, my Maschine Micro Mark III also doesn't double trigger, so that's just, they're even on that. But I know some of you guys might be interested in that. If I heard any double triggers, didn't hear them, I also didn't see them. Doesn't mean they never occur, but not while I was testing, at least. The differences start to occur when you get nitpicky. For example, this little hi-hat pad over here, it just seems to respond just that tiny bit less to soft touches. To be fair, obviously this is a newer device, so it might have to be broken in a little bit. So in all honesty, these two devices, they come very, very close in terms of like trigger sensitivity, all that type of stuff. At this point in time, if I had to pick, I would probably bring my Maschine Micro with me as compared to this one, because after playing it for a while, just playing some beats, my general sense of how well it responds and how often it sort of drops the ball on me, feel like the Micro does that a little bit less than this one, the new MPC Studio. But, you know, I might be able to adjust, and it's a small difference, but it is there. The thing is, right now, even this Akai MPD 218, in terms of open hi-hat pad, responds better, but this is a totally different story, because obviously this is way cheaper, and it might sound like a no-brainer to now just buy an Akai MPD 218 and not even bother with the MPC Studio, but it's not as simple as that. And the reason for that is Akai's quality control, or at least my experience with Akai and deteriorating quality or varying quality between devices. I talked about that a lot on this channel, and this Akai MPD 218 that I have over here is the best Akai MPD 218 that I have. I have 5 more Akai MPD 218s that I tested throughout the years that doesn't respond as well as this one, and if I would compare those to this Akai MPC Studio, I would prefer the Akai MPC Studio over those devices. And then again, that's also not a conclusive thing, because who's to say that the quality control on this Akai MPC Studio is consistent and good, right? I mean, it's more expensive, but in a way, until I buy 2 more of these, or until I wait a year until, you know, there's a new batch of these devices available and I test those out as well, we're not going to know if the quality of the pads of this device is very consistent or not. And that is all up to Akai. They have to at some point decide, like, okay, we're going to make the quality of the pads part of our quality control process. They have a system for that, and they implement that rigorously. And if they do that for a long period of time, a couple of years, then maybe at that time, all of us will realize, okay, quality is consistent, it's good. This is a good device, just buy it and don't worry about it. But right now, with all the stuff that I experienced throughout the years with Akai MPD 218s, but also what I heard from other users, I don't know if you are going to get the same specimen that I have here in front of me of this Akai MPC Studio. I obviously also don't know 100% certain that you're going to get the same Maschine Micro Mark III, but what I do know is that throughout the years, I have gotten less complaints and there have been less fluctuating quality issues with this device from what I heard and what I experienced myself. I owned 3 of these and they were all fine, right? Then with the Akai units. So yeah, that's basically the summary of it. This thing, almost as good as this thing, or maybe on par, depending on your personal preference of pad feel and stuff like that. But the legacy of Akai and the quality control type of stuff makes me a little bit more hesitant to pick this device over this one. And obviously, same goes for the MPD 218. Sometimes you get a good one. You just never really know what you're going to get. That's why it's not my main recommendation. And the Maschine Micro Mark III is my main recommendation. But the devices are close. They're more or less the same price. I hope this video helped you. Here's another one you might like. If you want to learn finger drumming, I have free lessons and courses over on questforgroove.com. So maybe check that out one day. And for now, see you around.